expect the Spanish Inquisition. It's head-first only television.
Good evening all. How are we all? Both of you at the moment. I've got two viewers online. Good evening. What a week it's been. I hope you're doing all right. I've had better weeks. And the weirdness out there at the moment. I mean, this room, there is a lot of comic stuff in here, and an awful lot of that shelf is dedicated to a certain Mr. Warren Ellis. Yeah, a lot of people talking about his reported activities with a certain amount of surprise. All I'd say is, have you read Crooked Little Vein? Anyway, not going to go there. Yeah, a lot of women coming forward on Twitter saying he was, manipulative. Let's just leave it at that. All right, on to better things. What have I been doing music-wise? First of all, sound check. Do I still sound like I'm buried under several hundred duvets? Mel, David, help me out here. Let me know. How do I sound at the moment? Sounds clear. Brilliant. Yeah, Mel, your comment about Warren, yeah, you're not the only young female musician I know who's gone through that. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, good. Where was I? Yes, music. So sorry for the sound quality last week. Dear me, it sounded terrible when I actually played it back. If you don't mind, I would like to play you what I was trying to play you last week, which was one of the pieces of music that that I'd actually put together last week, but it would just sound like I was playing through socks or something. So this is, well, it was going to be the first track on this Geometry of Sleep sort of dark ambient album that's turning out to sound like a cross between Jean-Michel Jarre and Mike Oldfield, and that's not a bad thing. But it's now going to be the second track. I did quite a lot of pulling it apart, as it were. So why don't I just play you a bit of it and you can hear what it should have sounded like last week and what it now does sound like. Oh, that's a good start, isn't it? Not sure what happened there, but yeah, so that's sounding a little better than it was a couple of weeks ago anyway. The tonal balance control is showing me it's still all over the place, but at this point I'm just gonna leave it. So that was that one. I've actually been very busy this week. I've now got, amazingly, half an hour's worth of music for this new album and 5 tracks. The last couple of days I've been working on a couple of new tracks. One that's not really shareable yet because I was listening to it now and it's like, oh dear, that's all over the place. Which is called Slow Theta, which is the restorative type of brainwave that you're supposed to get when you fall asleep, because this is all about falling asleep. But what I ended up thinking about was, all right, how am I going to contextualize this? And so I got a little contact mic, which I bought years ago for tape recording junk telephone calls, and recorded a clock. So from that ticking clock, I built up a 60 BPM synth line here, which you can see is, it's actually a bit too loud at the moment on this one, but I'm going to leave it at the moment. If I mess about with mixes now, I've been working in the studio all day. My ears are not reliable, so I'm not going to do anything silly with it. But you'll notice there's a bass line, and then the bass line feeds into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate tracks, which all do stuff to it. So the first one, there's a beat repeat. It's gated, so it doesn't come out all the time. And then various other ones. So that's an auto filter going into a fuzz box. The next one is a beat repeat going into a flanger. The next one's a beat repeat again going into an auto filter. Then we've got a beat repeat going into the multiband delay filter thing. And then finally there's a bit of all sorts of jiggery pokery going on and a bit of echo. So what you end up with is, well, I'll play it, you can hear it. So start off, the idea is me trying to get to sleep, and what do I focus on? Ticking clock. So yeah, you're absolutely right about the strings, Mel. Maybe move them to come in slightly earlier. Got an even better solution than that. What I'm going to do is in fact, I may as well do it now because I can do. All these tracks off. First of all, that glitching is in the recording. It's nothing to do with the stream. Basically, I recorded all the audio off the Korg yesterday, and I hadn't checked that I wasn't running loads of other software on this machine, and it was glitching because I was pushing it too hard, and I'm also running Rosetta at home still. So yeah, it was really buggering up the audio stream. I was surprised, and that's even after I'd frozen a lot of the virtual synths. But I guess it's the beat repeat that's doing an awful lot of the CPU grabbing. So yeah, I'm going to come back to this, and I will redo, sadly, the Korg and the Korg treble again, because I did it twice because I wasn't happy with the timing on the first lot. Always record to a click track trick, kids. Doesn't matter how good you are, you think at timing. If you can use a click track, use it, because my timing on this sucked. So yeah, attack. If I duplicate this BBC Symphony Orchestra track and unfreeze it, what I've got on this track is just the cello, but long. So, and this is a tip that I shamelessly stole from Guy Mitchellmore on his Think Space videos. And if you haven't watched the Think Space videos that Guy does, please do, because they are brilliant. His trick is that underneath the long cellos, he puts the spiccato cellos in it as well. So if I just solo this and play you it so you can hear what this track is doing. If I bring that up. That's going to need playing with, but that is my plan. That is my cunning plan for this track. So yeah, rather than moving the legato cello, I'm basically just going to double them, and I'll put some other cello that have a different ADSR envelope on instead. Yeah, listening to that, Mel, I think you're right. Even the staccato strings might have to be moved as well. They should be on the grid. But listening to that, it really didn't sound like they were, did it? They are. How odd. So if that's the case, it might just be a quick select all and then just start nudging it a few ticks to the left. Again, I don't trust my ears to do that right now. So, but yeah, that's another track that's I'm kind of pleased with. I've earwormed myself with it, and I was trying to figure out why. And I think it's probably because the clock I recorded is the clock that's got the Siamese cats on it in my living room, which is quite loud, which is why I picked it to record it. But of course now I go downstairs and sit in a living room and hear the ticking clock and going, because it's basically leads into this track. Mel says, I'm a hardcore strings person. Me too. And all the more so since getting the BBC Symphony Orchestra Discover Edition. Right. If you haven't run your Spitfire audio app recently, go off and run it, because they've just updated 150 gigs of the samples. Yeah. 150 gigs, 150 megs, whichever it is. They've updated the samples and they've made it better. So yeah, it's 150 megs worth of download from the Spitfire audio stuff. So yes way, Mel. Go and always run your updates. Since I started streaming, I've actually got to the point where I run all my update programs on Thursday afternoon to make sure everything is up to date, because I don't want to run Ableton and everything else and think, oh, I'm going to have to wait 10 minutes while it updates everything. So yeah, top tip. And Windows 10 feature update 2004 works perfectly on this machine, works perfectly on the office machine downstairs. Can I get my laptop to run it? No. I've tried 3 times now. And after running it for the 3rd time, Windows just went, no idea what that is. We're not running that again. So I'm just going to leave it. Windows just is, I don't know whether it's just because it's been one of those weeks. It's been bugging the hell out of me this week. It's just little things. So like when I boot this machine up, I get the nice picture, and if it's a picture I think, oh, I wonder where that is. There's a little "like what you see" caption that appears in the top right hand corner of the screen. Except on my machine downstairs, where it does not appear. So you go online and you look at you need to, delete the contents of this Windows folder and it'll all come back. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, it came back when I ran the lock screen, and then when I switched the machine off and rebooted it this morning, it had all gone again. Then there's the Windows update. Then there's... and breathe. Yeah, I'm just not having a particularly fun week. I got massively triggered by an online discussion, and the people in the online discussion are lovely people. Hello, Laura, and all the rest of the Correspondence Club, if you're watching this at some point in the future. But dear God, I got triggered. The last couple of days have not been good. I'm better today, much better today, but yeah. And then I'm also dealing with the fact that some insurance company has given my address to a debt collection agency because somebody's committed fraud using my address. Isn't this wonderful? Yeah, so it's been a fun week. So let's move on. What am I going to do now? I'll show you another piece of music, if you wouldn't mind. Oh, go on, let's show you the... I'm going to show you... You remember the track that Mel named a couple of weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? 4 weeks ago? I've completely lost track of time. All I know is it's like the 12th or 13th week of lockdown, and I'm completely lost the plot. Yeah, so if we go back to... No, let's do it the other way around. I have got so many different scenes set up on this now, it's ridiculous. What do I want to do? Right, so this is again a whole bunch of tweaked stuff from what it was like before. Basically, I got annoyed with the guitars on this, so I went back and, being me, completely redid them all. So I'll play you this through and you can see what this sounds like. So yeah, I'm quite proud of that one. It took a while to beat that one into shape, but I think that one I'm pretty much going to leave as it is. I think that one's done. So yeah, I think I'm beginning to see where the influences are going to be on this track, and as I said there, that track is very much me turning into Mike Oldfield. It's basically going to be, I think, a sort of Jean-Michel Jarre, Mike Oldfield, dark ambient stuff. But much as I hate describing anything that's got a percussion or drum track on it as ambient, that seems to be it. And the percussion track on this is one of the free packs you can get down from Ableton, which is the Concrete Breaks pack. I think for the first year or so I was using Ableton, and that was back around about Ableton 8. I just didn't bother investigating any of the additional resources that Ableton put on their website. And there's bucket loads of the stuff. So once I got a machine with a large enough hard drive, and this one's got 6 large enough hard drives, I just downloaded all the things. And like Mel was saying earlier about downloading all the labs, free virtual instruments from Spitfire Audio, download all you can from the Ableton website if you're a live user, because there's some bloody amazing stuff on there. And yeah, I mean, I just love, I mean, the audio level on this is, if I just play, if I solo that and just play you how quiet it is, it's at minus 34 dB, but as you can see, I've got my go-to distortion, iZotope's Trash 2 on there, which is just tweaking it a little bit. So we've got focus on the snare. So it's one of the tape saturation type plugins. It just, if I bypass it, you can hear how different it sounds. I just like that little ring that it gives it. Can you play that section with all the tracks on? Sure thing. So yeah, I mean, despite the fact it's at minus 34 dB in the main mix, you can still hear it, and I think that is the thing. That, there you go, Mel. I'm soloing it again for you. The fact that it's that quiet and it still makes a difference in the mix is, I think, one of the biggest learning points I've learned this year. I mean, in the past, I would make a mix and nothing would be, you know, lower than minus 10 or minus 15. And again, if I unsolo it, listen for that ring. So, yeah, as I was going to say, you look down that list of volumes, you know, and it's minus 29, minus 27, minus 32, minus 13, minus 18, minus 37. I am dropping stuff in the mix so much lower than I have done in the past. Mel says, I would do a little bit of EQ cuts in some of the mid frequencies to leave more room for your other instruments. Well, yeah, that's what this is all about. Neutron basically does that. It listens to stuff. And then if I go to Ozone, what you can do with Ozone is that if you, where's the masking gone? Okay, I'm looking at the screen. Where? Well, all right. I'm not going to do it now. But basically, there is a way where you can see how one neutron interacts with another. Maybe I have to just do it this way. There we go. Okay, so yeah, if you can see what I can do if I get rid of me. So what you can do with Neutron is that each instance of Neutron listens to all the other ones. So if I just play from about here, so we've got the guitars going at the moment. So let's. So what I can now do is I can tell Neutron to look at where the synths are playing, and basically anything that starts lighting up as a vertical band means it's masking something from the other neutron. So if you look at this, there's actually very little that's stomping across from one track to another. And it's surprisingly subtle, but it really does do quite a lot of difference. What's this one? So there's a little bit of masking there. Yeah, it's obviously not playing at this point. So yeah, it's the aspects of Neutron talking to itself, and if you are pushed for resources on your machine and dropping a Neutron on every track would be problematic, then there is a cut down version that does pretty much the same thing, which is called Relay, which lets Ozone listen to all the different tracks. And is it Ozone or Neutron? So it basically lets the interoperability work with all your tracks without the processing overhead of a full Neutron dropped in. And Relay lets you tweak things from within Ozone. So yeah, it's. And to be honest, when you run Mix Assistant, it does an awful lot of the work for you. It's pretty much there. Yeah, Mel says it's called Relay. Yeah, it's if I drop it into a track, you can see what it looks like. So if I drop it into the CZ101, that's all it is. So it just reports on what's going on. So if because that's now in, if I go to Ozone, it should now appear. Is it? No, I'm getting it wrong. It's not Ozone, is it? So if I play that now and go to an instance of Neutron. There it is. You can see it's now specifically listening to the CZ101. So maybe I've got a little bit more of an issue with up at that. What's that, about 4K-ish? Also see, I mean, that shouldn't be an issue on the synth track here because... So yeah, you get the idea. All right, I don't need that relay. So I'm just going to undelete or delete that. So yeah, but that's come a long way from the last time you heard it. Okay, so one of the things that I was thinking of doing this evening was actually kicking off another track. So I'm gonna do a new live set with this. And again, because you guys have got the BBC Symphony Orchestra, what I'm going to do is open my BBC Symphony Orchestra template. So if you go to the Spitfire Audio website, this is all available for you just as download in a zip file, and it's various different setups of Ableton or Logic or Cubase or whatever everything else. So I just downloaded the zip file for Ableton, opened it up, and this is what you get. So you basically get a track for each of the patches in the whole of the BBC Symphony Orchestra Discover package. So, you know, even down to the tubular bells. Yeah, Mel, it makes like, I mean, this would take me a couple of hours to have set up, and it just does it. So you know, and you've got all the different wonderful toys. I mean, to be honest, that gong, I'd have got Spitfire Audio just for that gong sample. Still going. Hey, how do they fit all this in like under 250 megs? It's ridiculous. Right. So what was I going to do? Well, before I start playing with the BBC Symphony Orchestra, what I am going to drop in is an audio track. And because this is an album about sleep, I'm going to make it quite slow. I've done one track at 120, no, not 120, 90 beats per minute. I'm kind of gravitating towards doing multiples of, strangely enough, 12. So, you know, 60, 48 beats per minute, 72 beats per minute. I haven't done one that's 84, so let's do an 84 beats per minute track, because this kind of, it's all about the numbers. So okay, what am I going to do? So I'm going to put the click track on, and I'm just going to noodle for a few minutes on the Korg. I've already got it set up with a basically a combi, which is a layered set of different patches that the Korg produces. So if I go over to the Korg, hopefully without pulling my microphone out of my shirt, when I was doing the last ambient album, God knows how many years ago, I did an awful lot of sort of noodling late at night and didn't always use the patches that that I came up with. So this is one that it's a good couple of years old, but it's a patch that I've not used up until now. And in terms of layers, what I can do is the Korg has basically a mixer on it, so I can bring in each layer in turn so you can hear what it sounds like. So So let's start with, because it was all about ice, lumps of ice floating around beyond the Kuiper belt. There's a lot of jingly bells and stuff, so we've got some nice stereo glass bells. And then, so let's bring in the rest. So there's quite a driving bass. Now this is 115, so let's take this down to, what did I say, 84? And listen how the character of it changes. So I'm going to save that, which will kill the accompaniment. Okay, so that's what's going on the bottom end. At the top end, I've got a nice voice patch. And a piano. So what's... So if I solo them, that's probably the easiest way of doing it. So there's the voice. Then I've got some nice legato strings because it's all about the strings. Which are being dropped into bucket loads of reverb by the looks of it. Then what have we got here? There's my piano. And it sounds like there's probably a percussion picking up that as well. That's okay. Then another voice sample. And then on the other page of voices that you've got on this, we've got... So it's got a nice little metallic resonance to it, so that'll cut through. Another piano with a whole bunch of compression on it. I think there's stereo chorus on this. and a very long loop. So that's just dropping stuff into the background. And I think this is a really sort of seriously tweaked piano as well. So a whole bunch of mids, not much top end, but bucket loads of hall reverb on it. And when you put them all together, you end up with something that sounds like this. So this seems to me, it's more, this is sort of coming out from, it's all about the geometry of sleep. So you've got that sort of parabola of sleep dropping down in the depths. Although me being me, I'll get up in the middle of the night, so there'll be an intermission, so there'll be a spike in the middle. So this to me is on the way back up. Hence the slightly faster BPM and the kind of more triumphant tone of everything. So the question is, so here's my rhythm, which basically I can program in advance and just hit on the pads on the Korg. So if I hit A minor on that, it'll play in A minor for me. Is that too much? So we could lose the bells, couldn't we? I'm thinking that's probably enough. I just want some basic rhythm, and there's something going on underneath all that. So if I turn it up, it's more atmospherics than anything else. So I reckon that'll do as a left hand. And I think what I'm going to do, because I've made the mistake before now, is I am going to record the bass line, the calmer side of it, separately to the right hand side. So if I mess one hand up, I've still got the other track available. So we'll call this can be the main rhythm. Okay, so I've got the click track enabled because I want to be able to hear if it goes out. Korg's Karma isn't particularly great at staying in sync. I've no MIDI clock to talk with these things, so if anything goes wrong, it's down to me pressing the keys at the wrong point. So I'm going to give myself a 4-bar counting, because then I can get nice and comfy before everything starts. And right, let's give it a go. I'm just going to do a very, very basic A minor track progression, and we'll see what happens. 2, 3, 4, and then I'll give myself 1 count in. 5, Note to self, make sure you've armed the right track. And turn off Karma. Yeah, don't want MIDI recorded. Apart from anything else, I'd only recorded one thing. And we want to make sure that's stereo because the Korg's a stereo instrument. So, yeah, whoopsies indeed, Mel. What time is it? 8:30. I've been going an hour. That's, you know, one big flub in an hour is pretty good considering I haven't muted myself or disconnected anything. Did get a brownout. I don't know if you noticed about 10 minutes ago that the lights in here suddenly went dim. And it's like, ooh. Had some amazing thunderstorms just down the road in Bath yesterday. Didn't hear a single rumble of thunder. I was gutted. Right, let's have another go. 2, 3, 4. Should we do 1, 4, 5? And of course, this is sending MIDI signals, which is why the percussion that was enabled. Yeah, let's not do that. So, one more go. And if nothing else, you simply, so that is really very quiet. Let's turn that up a bit. I went back on the Korg to just using the left and right outputs rather than the 1 or 2. The main output on the Korg is just too loud for the desk, even turned down to minimum. It was overloading it. With the left and right outputs, I've got a volume control on the Korg, so I can actually tweak things on the fly, which helps. Yes, lovely view of my rear end there. Here we go then. That's a bit better. Just realised another thing I've done. If I play this back, you're going to hear the click track. Yep, because I've got the microphone on. Yeah. One more go. Let's just have one more go. I'm going to turn the Korg up a little bit more. I'm going to turn the mic off, and we'll see if we can get a decent take this time. I kind of like that. In fact, what I really liked was the really complex arpeggiation at the end with over the 2 octaves. Let's just have a listen to that again. Let's drop a compressor on it to give it a bit more grunt. Try that again. Turn it down. Yeah, that's got potential in it. Okay, so we've got 3 different patterns there, haven't we? So we hit Control E there. I'm too tired to count. Let's just listen. It's that one, isn't it? So I've got 3 patterns with a few little introductory ones at the beginning because I had 4 bars of high before I went into the main pattern, so that should change there. So if I go to here, and it does, so that's the low one, so we'll make that colour, and we'll make that so I know that with the same pattern, that's kind of just junk because there's nothing there, so we can cut that down to 1 bar. Right, so what I can do now is see if I can find anything that kind of works alongside that. So don't really need the click track anymore, but I will turn the mic off and I'll just have a noodle and we'll see what I come up with. So let's go back to my other view. Okay, I think that's basically given me a few nice different variations of chords and stuff like that. So what I will probably do to this now is pull it apart and drop some of those in, use some of those chords where I need to, and then have fun with the BBC Symphony Orchestra. To actually have an orchestra playing along with me. How cool is that? Did I mention I love the BBC Symphony Orchestra Discover package by Spitfire Audio? It is amazing. Yeah. Okay, it's coming up for 9 o'clock. Where did the last hour and whatever go? I've had fun doing this. Nice chatting with you guys again. Yeah, I think we'll call it a night for tonight. So, as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for turning in. As Mel says, time is meaningless. It absolutely is. One thing I will say, I got barked at this evening. Ruth and Rebecca are visiting their brother over or Rebecca's brother over the road. So I finally got to meet Pip for the first time. Pip is a pup called Pip, and she has her own Instagram account. And yes, she yapped at me. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay safe, stay well, stay sane, and I will see you guys again next week, if not before. Have a good one. Look at that, I'm waving on a video conference. How silly is that? Cheers, guys.